Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord Yahweh your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord Yahweh God of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. And that's talking about the land of Canaan. And the flowing with milk and honey is in reference to it being fruitful. Okay. In fact, let's type that in here. How does flowing with milk and honey mean fruitful? Right. So it says here, flowing with milk and honey signifies extreme abundance, prosperity, and fertility, meaning a land so rich it naturally yields plentiful food, milk from livestock, honey from fruits/dates, and supports a thriving, luxurious life, a stark contrast to hardship, symbolizing God's ultimate blessing and provision for his people. The word flowing suggests a gushing, copious, effortless supply, not just a little, indicating a land with lush pastures and abundant crops. So, just a bit of more information on that part. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. All right, which is Shammai Yasharallah, Yahweh Allahayinawa, Yahweh Achad in the Hebrew. And thou shalt love the Lord Yahweh thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And this is important because in doing so, right, the scriptures talk about what is the love of the Lord. Right? Is it just waking up and say, I love you, Lord, every day? No, you have to show it. All right, and this is the book of, where is it? Where is it? I think it's in John. Yeah. 2 John 1 and 6. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. See? So, to show your love to the Lord, you have to follow his ways. All right? And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And diligently meaning, constantly, right? Again and again and again, to where it's embedded in their minds and they grow up with that. Thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, meaning, in the road, in the path, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Now, does that mean that literally every time you take a seat, you got to quote a precept? Every time you're walking, you got to quote a precept? No. But what it means is every opportunity, all right, it all ties back to the ways of the Lord and so on, right? You may be walking and you may see something that may relate to either something you should do or something you shouldn't do, right? And then you teach it, right? You use that as a teaching moment for your children so they understand, right? You may be walking in the way, you may see a clean animal and an unclean animal, right? And then you explain to them, hey, see that right there? That's a clean animal. You see what it's doing right there? That's called chewing the cud, right? It's grazing right there, but it's not. It's gonna bring it back up later on, and then it's gonna, digest it fully. You can eat that animal. You see its feet right there, and then you look at the other one. And you see that's unclean. You're not supposed to eat that. Like every moment of opportunity you get, you use it to teach and to raise up your children in the ways of Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, sort of how we do now with the truth. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Now, this later on, you see more in the New Testament, as Israelites started to take it in a literal sense. or on a practical level, and that's where you get your phylacteries from, right? And this is what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. That's a right, something like this, all right, or like that, where it's basically, like the laws written on these binds here, okay, and then wrapped around your body basically, which really, this was more so in the sense of keeping it always in your mind. Okay, because if you bound it on your hands, whenever you go to do something with your hands, you would see it, sort of like the fringes, and then it would be in your head at all times. Okay, and that's what it was supposed to signify. But like I said, you also had the literal practice of it, which even during the time of the New Testament, we saw, right? The scriptures mentioned them enlarging their phylacteries. It says, "And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates." And this reminded me actually in Ghana, there are places when I think even in different parts, but Ghana, you see it a lot where, like, if it's even a storefront, before you go in, the sign or the post at the top of the entrance would have like a Bible verse, and you see that a lot. You'd even see it on like as stickers on the back of their cars. You see it almost everywhere. Okay, but this would be like in writing this upon your post, it would signify or remind you, and always keep the ways of the Lord in mind, top of mind. And it shall be when the Lord Yahweh thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not, right? Meaning, you're coming into a land that everything is pretty much already made ready for you, right? You didn't build the houses that you're gonna see over there. You didn't furnish them, right? And wells digged that thou diggest not. You didn't dig those wells. Vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten them be full. So when the Lord brings you in there, you're driving these people out, but you're pretty much getting to reap the benefits of the land that has already been cultivated, and certain structures and features already been set up for you. So the Lord says, when that happens, or Moses is admonishing them here, saying, when you get to that point and you're satisfied and you're full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord thy God, Yahweh, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And he's saying that because you even see this when you read the book of Kings, where you have one that the Lord is with them, and then they get to a point where they get very successful, and then they get beside themselves, right? They get so comfortable that they just get beside themselves, and then they end up doing something, right, that is against what the Lord wants. And you don't want that, okay? Because usually when you are in an uncomfortable situation, you're quick to draw near to the Lord because you need that help. But then you get to a point where now you're full and satisfied, and then if you're not careful, you start to become undisciplined and wanton, and then go in a way where you shouldn't. Verse 13, thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. And what that means is, you're not supposed to swear by or take an oath by the name of any other gods but the Lord. Ye shall not go after other gods, or of the gods of the people which are round about you. So don't go trying to worship those gods of the nations or the tribes that are in the land that are round about you, be it the Canaanites or even the Moabites or the Ammonites or the Edomites. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you. See, so the Lord doesn't tolerate that. All right. Yeah, it ain't gonna be no, he's what's that word? Insecure. That's that stupid shit they say nowadays, to give them leeway to do their madness. But the Lord doesn't play that. Lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. See, if you go and you worship other gods, he's going to get mad, and then you're going to be cooked. Ye shall not tempt the Lord Yahweh your God, as ye tempted him in Massa. All right, and when you go into that, I believe that was when they were basically, complaining and murmuring against the Lord. Is he going to deliver us? Is he not? We're thirsty. What is he going to do? He just bring us out here to kill us. So don't tempt the Lord like you did. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord Yahweh sware unto thy fathers. So by being obedient, you would be successful in going in and taking over that land which the Lord promised unto your fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as the Lord hath spoken. And when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What mean the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord our God hath commanded you? So what do these things mean? Why do we have these? What's the story behind it? Then thou shalt say unto thy son, We were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt. So we were slaves in Egypt. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, with a great deliverance. And the Lord shewed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in to give us the land which he sware unto our fathers. So he delivered us out of Egypt, that he might bring us into this promised land. And the fathers are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, right? So in doing this would be beneficial to us, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us. So he's going to count, it's going to be to him as our righteousness, right? It's going to be counted to us as righteousness if we observe to do these commandments that the Lord has commanded us. And that brings us to the end of the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.